Hello, 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 everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to Self Love Sundays. It's your sis, Tina Riggs, and we have with us Aisha, Lynette, and she is the Director of Communications at the Austin Justice Coalition. And we have Stephen Brown returning again, and he is a neuroscientist, clinical consultant, and community activist. So, our topic today is going to be a mental health check in. How's everybody been doing over the past week? There's just so many things that have occurred, you know, overall in the nation and everything. So, just, a checkup and a check in for everyone in your family. And we're going to give some tips on things that you can do for your mental health as well as we go further into the episode. So, we'll just start off with, you know, how was your mental health this past week? We'll start with you, Ms. Aisha.
So my mental health this week. Well, first of all, I'll introduce myself. My name's Aisha Lynette, and I hope everybody's doing okay. But I would say back to my mental health. This week, I would say it was up and down. I'll go right into it. I shared a very personal testimony on my Instagram about forgiving and growing closer to my mother, who wasn't in my childhood. She didn't raise me. So I felt like having her around the week before really kind of opened up a door for just new beginnings. And so I was kind of on a high while she was here. And when she left, I found myself feeling kind of somber, kind of sad. But what I realized was that it was just, me actually closing that door and stepping into this new space. So I would say it was a good week. I think mental health is something that people have to really dive into.
Mental health this past week. We'll start with you, Ms. Aisha.
So my mental health is somber, kind of sad. But I was like, I can hear myself talking.
I know. Technical, like, what? Are we repeating what we just said? That's really awkward. Sorry.
It's okay. No, I just feel like mental health, a lot of people like to just talk about how to get out of it. But I think an important part of it is just experience it where you're at and learning and going from there.
That's really good. Stephen, how about you?
Oh, I think this week has been pretty good for me. I mean, obviously, kind of witnessing what we recently saw with the social unrest. It kind of making sure that we practice mental hygiene and not letting the images that we see on the TV kind of assault our psyche. So there was a little kind of hiccup with that last week, but I think this week is a lot better because
I
think
agree.
you have to be very intentional about your mental health. You have to kind of really make time to the same way we make time to wash our hands. We have to make time to practice mental hygiene and do the things necessary to remove different germs and other kind of things that kind of could possibly get us stuck in a rut. So I think I've been super intentional with trying to make time to do my yoga, to stretch, to set forth a one word intentions every day to make sure that I'm kind of holding myself accountable as the day goes. And I think that that's been beneficial for me.
That's really good. I have just kind of been, resting and trying to minimize my TV watching and, keeping up with the current events, just, checking in every now and again and seeing what's going on. Oh, okay, great. They're making progress. So it kind of took away the like anger and frustration from me because I could see that, actions were being taken legislatively and, basically stuff was happening. It's not like, this event happened and then nothing happened, so that's really good. I also been making sure to like drink more water. I realized I wasn't like hydrating enough, and sometimes that can, kind of put you in a funk. Something as simple as like water can kind of put you in a funk. So yeah. What else have I been doing? Making sure to like walk. and get more organized. You know, my mind is like going all over the place because I do so many things. I know, Lynette, you have a business as well. And I know those thoughts can probably run through your mind while you're working at the Austin Justice Coalition. So it's like, there's a lot going on in my head. And when am I going to have time to do my stuff for my company? You know, so how do you like manage all of that stuff? Because sometimes I don't write stuff down because I think I'm so cool and can remember everything. And I don't. And I get scatterbrained. And then that makes me anxious. And then I get nothing done that day. So what do you do to kind of like make sure that doesn't happen to you?
Yeah, I kind of relate to that. A lot of last year, so we launched our business, my sister and I, we owned an online beauty supply, Mila Beauty Supply. We launched in October, and before then it was just, you know, I was really focused on AJC, but when I started to do both, like you said, it was like, oh, I thought I could remember a lot. So towards the end of the year, I downloaded this app called To-Do List. And so what I'll do for myself is kind of space out my day. Luckily, I'm able to work from home right now. So if I need to step away from certain things, I can. And so what I've kind of began to do is to set blocks. So if I'm going to spend, you know, the first 2 to 3 hours with AJC, then I would do that, maybe have a quick lunch or snack, depending on the time. And then, you know, maybe take an hour to check in on the business, just the emails and stuff like that. And for me, having that to-do list for every day has really helped me because I know personally I can be also scatterbrained, and I can also, even if I remember, it's like, you know, if it's not in that forefront, you tend to just put it on the back burner, and oftentimes that's when things do get forgot about. And so for me, writing things down and also having a calendar, knowing if you have certain deadlines, especially with AJC, we have a lot of things that have to be done at a certain time period. So, you know, making sure that I'm meeting those deadlines and doing the work before, not, you know, right when it's due or right when I expect it. So really just setting and being strict with myself when it comes to meeting deadlines and timelines.
We're like midway through the month. Have you found that you doing this have you been able to like keep it up, or do you have some days or weeks where it's kind of like,
So the week, when did January start? So I would say the first week, it was still kind of slow, right? I think everybody was getting back into work and after the holiday. But the last 2 weeks I have found just having that to-do list and again, setting those time periods for me has really helped out. Also, you brought up something very important, but just making sure that I'm taking care of myself throughout the day. You know, we're working from home. I know it's very easy to skip out on lunch or to even skip out on drinking water. So like I have a gallon of water sitting next to me. So, and I just started this yesterday, but making sure that I'm getting my gallon. And because
a whole gallon.
Yeah, a gallon.
It's glowing like that.
Women are supposed to drink more than a gallon a day.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know what? I could probably do that since we're working from home, right? I should take advantage of that, right?
Definitely. And then, you know, there's a meme I saw and it said you won't have the time to be in anybody else's business because you'll just be peeing all day.
Exactly. I don't need a water pill. I take a water pill like every day, like a 12.5 milligram prescribed water pill, so I don't get all puffy. But I'm sure if I drink a gallon of water, I can probably ditch that pill, right?
Definitely.
So, are you like making sure to eat healthy? Are you eating out? Like, what kind of things are you doing? And do you find that there is a difference in how you just feel and you think whenever you're eating like home cooked fresh food versus like takeout?
So everybody around me will know that I'm a very picky eater. I was a vegetarian for 4 years, and it'll be my going on 2 years now that I've got back into just eating chicken and turkey. So I don't eat red meat very often. If maybe every 6 months or so, I'll get like a good steak from Perry's or somewhere. But so eating healthy is very important. So making sure when I wake up, I have tea or a smoothie. Making sure throughout the day that I'm taking my vitamins and my probiotics. I feel like that's a very, very, very important to your mental health because it's been proven what your gut is feeling, your mind is also feeling. So, you know, a lot of times if you're eating low foods that are going to keep your energy low or foods that drain you, it's going to be hard to keep up with, you know, your mental stamina. So I feel like food is very, very also important.
Really good.
So I eat out, but I try to pick and choose when I'm going to eat out. But we definitely cook at home a lot.
Nice. And Stephen, how about you?
Oh, I do enjoy eating out and kind of fellowshipping, but with obviously with the pandemic, I've decreased a lot of that. I've tried to turn my home into a mini bar and restaurant, and I think that that's been kind of fun, to kind of have people that I can over, and kind of socially distance at here at home, but then also like having my boys here to kind of like play games and play sports, try to keep them active with stuff at home, and kind of having a kind of social setting at the house has been kind of a fun segue into, I think, getting back to a more natural, kind of being more communal and being connected and finding different ways to discover what one another might be dealing with. Um, but I'm also a hunter. I used to be 315 pounds. I struggle with weight, so eating healthy is a huge reason why I've been able to maintain this weight for 15 years.
Mhm.
But I taught it. It's an old African proverb that says, you eat what you produce and produce what you eat. And so I have a garden bed, and I try to, eat deer meat or turkey that I hunt. And now, of course, I have to substitute with going to the store from time to time, but it does kind of, eating something that I participated in kind of uh, uh, the experience that I had, in getting the food, kind of makes me feel like my testosterone levels are higher, and I feel a lot better because, I mean, me personally, I would rather eat a deer or a turkey, as
Mhm.
opposed to the store and getting food that probably has a lot more antibiotics and stuff in it. And I think gut health is super important too. I think that, I mean, with the food and stuff that we get in the store, I mean, I just sometimes I just don't trust it. So trying to eat cleaner, and staying connected has just been super one of my tools that I've tried to implement.
That's really good. That's really good. I think,
Question.
yeah.
I have a question for Stephen. Do you find, because I feel like if I did have a, because you said you're a hunter, right? So I feel like in that sense, I might maybe, if I had a farm, then maybe I might, eat beef more often because I know where it's coming from. So do you find, is it because the meat is a lot fresher, and are you able to store that meat and it maintains that quality, or or does it change it?
Well, so I do have a little ranch outside of Austin, and I do try to like grow food, and we we're able to hunt there, and I don't, the meat is fresher, but I think that they deal with less hormone swings, the in the animals. I think that, when I do hunt, it's very spiritual because I understand the sacrifice that that animal, uh, was providing for me, and I don't just eat to. I don't hunt to just kind of hunt. I mean, there's a lot of folks in the community that actually supplement meals from the meat that I bring home from a hunt. And so the meat does hold really well. I mean, you can freeze it. I mean, and especially with vacuum seal technology now, I mean, it's really good. But
Mhm.
without the hormones and the antibiotics, I do think that it allows my immune system to kind of not be rushed into certain changes due to you know whatever the COVID-19 vaccinations or test. I mean, there's so many different bacteria. I mean, and so I'm just trying to naturally like allow my immune system to evolve as opposed to constantly pushing it down one pathway. And I feel
Oh,
strong, I feel healthy. I mean, I enjoy teaching people how to hunt, how to grow their food, and like I said, I think it's been one of the my major keys into keeping the weight off, is participating in what I put into my body.
yeah, that sounds good because it's like you are physically laboring to go and get this food, then prepare it, and it means a whole lot more to you than just like stuffing food in your mouth from Taco Bell or something like that.
Yeah,
So
and
it makes sense, and
when
I see
I'm
how that could help your mental health because it's a whole activity. So you all almost feel like pride whenever you have that meal prepared and all the steps that it took to get it, you had to hunt down this animal, you had to, you know, kill it, and you said you kill it with respect, and you appreciate, its sacrifice and all those things. All that stuff is very spiritual, and gosh, if your mind is on all that, it's definitely not on being, sad or in some kind of a negative feedback loop. So that's really good. Like as far as for the family, I know that you have children, right?
I
I
do.
should have kids.
I don't have children, but I have 2 nephews, so I feel like I have kids.
Okay. So for the whole family, oh my gosh, the poor children are still quarantining. Most of them are still in quarantine. Can you imagine, like, not being around your friends, not trading snacks at the lunch table, not, going outside to play at recess, just not being able to interact with all your buddies. And if you're the only child, it's even sadder. Just having the 4 walls close in on you is not fun. So some tips for the family, I think, would, just be to kind of like be more intentional about spending quality time together. We are working from home, so it would seem like, oh, we have all this time to spend on family time, but actually a lot of people are more busy working from home. More is expected of them since they're at home. So that, myth of there being more free time, is not true. So we got to be intentional about spending more time with our family and, making time to just go up. All that's got to stop. And we're going to go have some fun. We're going to do something interactive, something that's memorable, and something that lifts all of our spirits, and try to make it a routine, a weekly routine, or something,
No,
Even like bedtime routines, could be nice for young kids to like school age children. Some type of a bedtime routine where there's something fun going on with the bath time and all that. Maybe storytelling time, or you get to go around and talk about how your day was, how you're feeling, some things that you would like for the family to do, or some things that you want, and then maybe set some goals on how you can get there. Like maybe have like a little not so formal kind of conversation while you're getting ready for bed, or a bedtime story if it's a younger child, or just telling a story, to an older kid about your actual life and how you work through something, and in a way that they can, digest.
I think for my nephews, it's like their experience through COVID has been quite different. They go to
Okay.
they are 7 and 6. They go to a private school. It's very, very small, so their classes range from like the kids I think are like 6 to 7, sometimes 8, 9, 10 when you get a little bit older. So they've actually been back in school. They've had no cases.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the school
Where
has
did
been.
it go?
The school is Wholesome Generation, so it's off. If you're in Austin, it's off of Palmer. It's a very good school. It's a holistic school. So on top of just the regular curriculum that the education system has, they also do gardening and sorry guys, laundry.
Okay.
They also do gardening. They also have animals. They learn about plants and trees and flowers and herbs. And, they come home and they say, I know how to fix your cold. And, they learn about crystals, just a lot of different things. And so because their school is so small, and again, the class sizes have been small, they've been back in school for the majority of since school started last year. And again, like I said, they've had
Wow.
cases. But beforehand, just trying to explain to them, because one of them has a birthday party that's in August, explaining why he can't have that big party or what Corona is. I would say that's probably different, but luckily, I think they're growing more in their awareness, as in the sense of knowing that they're Black children, and especially being at their school, there's not a lot of boys or children that look like them.
Yeah. Yeah. So how's that? What do you do with that? Do you kind of help them like feel proud about themselves and
Yeah, I think my sister does an excellent job of making sure that they're aware that they're proud to be very Black. They they don't. I can't say that they don't see color, because we have taught them early on that the system isn't built for us. They're very open if they ever feel any type of behaviors towards them, and really with them, we just try to I guess, teach them to be proud of who they are. And so I think it'll be interesting to see as they develop in the next couple of years, how that transition will be. If we continue to keep them in that school, will we homeschool them? Will we move them to public school, or what will happen? Because
in the air right now.
yeah, we would, of course, I think being around people that look like you is very important, especially when you're in that younger age. So that's something that my sister has been struggling with. And like I tell her, I think right now, I think their emotional development is way more important. And so that's what we're focused
I
on.
agree.
And that school does a very, very good job of teaching them how to communicate and share their feelings and stuff.
That's
So
really good. Oh, wow, the school helps with that. Like that's kind of like advanced, Usually it's like academic to academics, make sure that they, are smart enough to master their standardized testing. And, that's, hope some teachers are awesome,
Yeah.
and others are kind of like all about the academics.
Yeah, no, they get a lot of one-on-one time. So it's like, what are you feeling? Why are you feeling this? Or can I help you with any way? And they know how to use their words. That's one thing that we've been teaching them even outside of school is use your words. So even to me, if I say something to one of them, specifically one of them will be sure to let me know, like, hey, what you just said hurt my feelings, or hey, what you just said, I didn't like that, or when you said this, I felt this way. And for me, I feel like that is way more important, because I feel like a lot of us as we get older suffer with mental health issues because we weren't able to be that child and grow into that comfort that we need to be as functioning adults.
I agree. Aisha, what an awesome aunt you are.
I love my nephews.
About your nephews. And I can tell, like your heart lit up, like they're your own kids. So when you said that, I thought you're like, everybody says that, no, you like really care about your nephew.
Yeah,
Nephew, she really actually cares about y'all. So, be thankful for that. Okay. That was really good. I like how you're involved. That just that in and of itself, to know that not only mom and my parents care about me, but my extended family cares about me and cares about my development and what's going on. That in and of itself is going to help a young Black boy really feel proud about who he is, and help his self-esteem, just knowing that someone cares. Wow, just that simple thing right there. Somebody loves me and cares and lets me know that, and is concerned, like it is really ready to stand in the gap and like go talk to a school personnel if they need to, or whatever, to figure out what's going on. Man, oh man, just that in and of itself is like it's huge. It's huge. So thank you for not only caring about yourself,
of course,
and not using the excuse to not care about them as your water intake and you got to go. Okay. I think we have Dr. Jones joining us. Dr. Jones, I think so. Hey, you made it. I know you just finished another meeting and didn't know if you would be able to make it, so we're so happy to see you. Hey.
I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me. I definitely appreciate it. Yes, I can hear. Can you hear me?
For the whole family. Tips and stories and things like that. Just, a more casual, light episode from last week's. We're letting the country take care of itself, and we're back to taking care of ourselves. So do you have any advice as far as like how have you been taking care of your mental health? I know that you work out. I see that running through my news feed. Like you work out, it seems like almost every day. Is that correct?
Well, I think the key thing is to finding something that makes you happy. I think there's a lot of things that are going around us in the world that are to kind of boggle our mind and get us unfocused. So what I had to figure out for myself was, can I do one thing every single day consistently that makes me happy? I know for a fact when I'm moving, I get happy. Like moving, motivation, that makes me happy. So I know for every day, for whatever reason, at least for an hour, I'm going to be happy. So I look forward to that. So definitely like working out, that definitely has secured my mental health for quite a time. And it helps you look good too, when you start to feel better about yourself, it changes how other people treat you too. I think part of the big thing about the law of attraction is being attractive. I'm not saying that it's not fat shaming people, but I mean, we all want to look good. So I definitely appreciate people working out and, you know, staying in shape.
Okay.
We
So
all
that's
gotta look good.
But what if somebody likes somebody that's a little bit more heavier?
right.
Because my father prefers like a bigger woman, so
You never
Hey,
know.
okay. What do they call
You could
them?
be you could be bigger and be good. Just tone.
you're
I
just
mean,
saying
you
take
can
care
be
of yourself.
Yeah,
yeah.
because you
Just take
said,
care of yourself.
well, you
Yeah.
know what? I like that she came back with that because you're basically saying, if I don't have muscles, then, nobody wants me. Like, that's not fair to the millions of people that don't have the
More
muscles and
people.
don't have the energy to work out every day.
Not saying people don't want you if you don't have muscles. More people want you when you have muscles. So let's say you have 1,000 people that like you. 1,001 people might like you if you have a little muscle there.
Well,
So
and
it'll increase the number of people.
also
Oh
think
my gosh. Okay.
you-
Okay. So let's see. Let's go to mental health check-ins for couples. Woo! Who's in a relationship? Oh, we got one. Okay. So all the questions
Like,
are coming to you.
I feel like they weren't sure because they kind of did something like,
Maybe they're in situationships, but you're in a confirmed relationship. So we're gonna go with the confirmed relationship. So what have you been doing to kind of keep the relationship healthy? Do you all live together? Are you in each other's face all the time, or more so than you were pre-pandemic? What are you doing? What do you do? You seem happy, so it doesn't seem like things are going bad.
yeah, no. So we don't live together, which I think is very important. We haven't been dating long enough to live together in the first place. But I would say, I think obviously the pandemic has made us spend a lot more time together immediately versus because we weren't able to go out a lot more. So it was a lot more cooking at home and stuff. But I would say for us, well, even if it wasn't him, me personally, being an individual in a relationship is very important. So maintaining your lifestyle, whether, still hanging around with your friends, still doing what you feel like you need to do to make sure that you're okay is very important to me. So for me, like I said, it might be hanging around with my sister, going to hang with some friends, or hanging with my nephews, just whatever it is I feel like I need to do to keep myself grounded, and also giving him that space to do the same, spend time with his friends, spend time with his family, whatever is necessary. I feel like a lot of times people feel like, oh my gosh, I'm in a relationship, so let me be under this person all the time.
Right.
And no, for me, I don't want that. I really don't. And so I think we agree on that part. So we haven't had any struggle when it comes to that. I would just say there are times where I want to go on dates or certain places where it's because of COVID, we may not step out as much.
Yeah.
But other than that, I would say just giving each other that space, especially right now, is very important.
I like that. I like that a lot. So, making sure that you're still being your individual person, working and developing yourself, and not being all up under someone. You can really lose yourself doing that. I think it's really important in relationships to keep that individuality, and to make sure that you are still focusing on any of your particular goals, dreams, aspirations. What happens a lot of times is that women or men will look up and then 3 years have gone by and they realize that they've just been up there, up in their, significant other's life, and they kind of forgot about their own dreams and goals. If things ever go bad, they feel lost. They feel like they literally lost themselves, like they died. And they have to kind of pick up the pieces and try to refigure out who they are, what they like, what they want out of life. So I think it's important to, have that, separation time. Also, not to neglect your family members for a relationship too. So I love how you make sure that you keep that relationship, bond strong and intact with your family members.
Yeah.
You think it's important to kind of keep that date night kind of going, even in the midst of COVID and all the things going on, even if it's just popcorn on the couch, but, keeping that connection
It's
and,
really good.
and even just, kind of, getting creative with leaving, whether it be cards around the house or whether it be delivering stuff, I think that it's important too to maybe even define or redefine what what you might like. I mean, so many things of what you might have liked then post pre-COVID might not even be available. So, I
Right.
think Joan said it as well. If you're happy within yourself and you can answer certain questions within yourself, it makes it easier to communicate those things to your significant other so that they can continue to do things in a language that you can relate to as opposed to them just winging it. And I think it's
Yeah.
super during this time to be intentional when, especially if you're trying to maintain a relationship, or because COVID will expose whether or not you got a solid relationship or whether or not So I'll pay attention to
That
how.
statement is true. Dr. Jones?
Oh, this is, like he said,
That chuckle.
this is the best time though. He's I'm laughing because he's right. He's gonna tell you if this code is gonna see if you guys are solid or not. Because I'm telling you, you people have to spend a lot more time together. And so when you said date night, and I think people that are in relationships are kind of like in the house with each other all the time, more
Mm-hmm.
than they usually are. Because I know a lot of times you have to leave the house and go to work. And some
Mm-hmm.
people don't have to leave the house anymore to even go to work. So now you're just like, oh, what'd you do today? I went to the living room, or I went to the bath. I sat on the patio. So you gotta kind of like, even when he said you're gonna still have date nights and stuff like that. I bet you better realize that you're gonna have to do a lot of creativity because staying in the house together is gonna be you gotta switch it up. You gotta have some variety. People don't always want to be in the same position all the time,
I
Yeah,
think,
in the same
sometimes,
place at the same time,
yeah,
yeah,
same
sorry. I think
area of the
sometimes like being
building.
out in nature and talking is really good. Sometimes being in your like home where you always are, maybe the conversation may not ebb and flow that well because you're just like feeling like blah because you're always in the
Right.
house. So I think like switching up your scenery, and doing something that's free, like going for a walk, going to a park, and just talking and chit chatting, and you'll just realize that wow, we just rolled into this whole different area of discussion that we've not talked about before. And that was really fulfilling that, you found out something new about somebody that you've been around for months or for years. Because you're out in nature, you just kind of feel more free. Your spirit feels free and things come up and come out. It's
It's
interesting. Also yoga, do some yoga together. It doesn't have to be complex. You don't have to fold your body into a pretzel. Stretch
yeah.
together, breathe, practice your breathing. Incorporate some other cultures, some Eastern culture practices of what they do. I'm not saying to convert into a different religion, but there's some things that you can take from different cultures that, can really help you with, calming yourself down. Us on the Western side of things, we're so stimulated by so much stuff. You realize other cultures really value nature, quiet time, meditation, solitude, because that's the time that you
Mm.
have to shed and renew things, okay, and take that time to kind of get balanced out and get your, equilibrium going emotionally, spiritually, and physically. So, it's important to take that time. And if you can plan, sometimes you want to do that by yourself, but maybe plan some like times whenever you do that with your significant other too.
no, I agree. If you
Well,
if you got
meditation is number one.
If you know your girl likes a good steak at Terry's, going to Walmart and get that little grill and setting up the backyard and trying to make her the best steak you possibly can. I think that those things matter and they go a long way. And I think it's okay to start redefining and even renegotiating some of the things that you want, some of the things that you don't want. Sometimes maybe COVID may have exposed some things that you might not have liked, and now you have the courage to say, or you kind of, we're around each other too long. Let me go ahead and tell you, I don't like this. But having that conversation, but I have found, and maybe Aisha or someone can comment. I found that a lot of folks aren't willing to have certain tough conversations with so much going on in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
they want to preserve their bandwidth for just
Mm-hmm.
maybe something more relaxing. But if you're in a relationship, having those renegotiations are important. But
Yeah.
and making time to do so. So I was just wondering if anyone experienced some tough conversations in relationships during this time.
Well, there's only one person in a
It's
relationship.
gotta be tough.
You're doing good, but as a licensed marriage and family therapist, I'll say, I advocate for couples to, maybe use some like couple flashcards with them, and just discover things that they didn't know was there or they never talked about. A lot of couples, you'd be amazed, if married or dating, more so married. I'm speaking of right now. You'd be surprised how uncomfortable they are talking about sex still. So, helping them, get comfortable with talking about what they like, if their needs are being met, if they're not, those things keep the relationship healthy. I know it's a, topic that a lot of people don't want to talk about, and that kind of spills over into, the marriage, and can cause some problems in that department because, growing up religious, it's like shamed, like that's an area that's shamed, and it never really transitions over to being something to be proud of, to explore, and to enjoy with your partner. It's like you don't do it, then you're just supposed to be like doing it, and you get married. So so a lot of times that's hard for men and women, and things end up not fizzling, or people become embarrassed to talk about things that they may like or may not like, or if someone is doing something correctly or not. So I think just, maybe going to a couples therapist and talking with them about some of these things. If it's too uncomfortable for you, you'd just be surprised how many people in there just can't have these conversations. And then sometimes what happens is they go outside of the relationship to meet those needs, if they are too embarrassed or ashamed to bring that to their partner.
I'll to answer your question, Stephen. I would say we definitely had some tough conversations. My partner, you can tell previously he didn't communicate a lot. When we would get into some places where I felt like we really needed to have those tough conversations, his style he would choose to leave or to just not really sit with it. And I think for me, I had to also learn to give some that may be his the way he reacts, and not pressing the issue too much at that point, but also not just sweeping something under the rug, and which is what I felt he was used to doing. So just having for us, I think during COVID, communication has been very important, and him learning or me learning his communication style, and vice versa. I would probably say that's still a conversation we're having today, because like I said, we haven't been together too long. But that's probably, I would say, a hard conversation, just because I feel like maybe I'm more willing to communicate than he is. And he's kind of just like, well, if you pay attention to me, then you will be able to tell how I'm feeling. But it's like, I can't always be a mind reader, base my judgment off of how you look or how because I'm not that person. I need to be told what you're feeling. And so I can correct my behavior, right? Or had to let him know, me personally, if I'm doing something and you don't tell me I'm doing it, then I'm going to think that it's okay. But if you let me know, like, hey, I didn't like that you did that, we can have a conversation about my behavior. Because a lot of the times, not just me, I feel like people will do things because they're so used to it. And I feel like those closest to you have to be the ones who call you out on your quote unquote bullshit, right? Because if they don't, then who will? And I feel like that if they really care about you being a better person, then they will always, no matter how bad they feel it's going to hurt your feelings, they will let you know.
You got to bring it up. Absolutely. It's uncomfortable. And, if you guys do get stuck, like, I recommend maybe if you have like EAP or something, maybe like using those free sessions. You'd be amazed. Like sometimes 1 or 2 sessions can just fix things. So if you do feel like you're doing a lot of work and, it's not working out, just maybe try that. And that could probably help a lot too. So we got a comment coming in from James Hudson. He said, men are said to be the leader, but many times have problems talking about their own relationships. It's like a pastor being able to tell you how to best deal with your wife, but he can't handle his own at home. Anybody want to, expound on that?
I definitely think, especially someone growing kind of in the church.
Everybody's different.
And have participated in the church. And, I agree, everyone's different, but there are a lot of times where There's a spirit of the law and the letter of the law, and a lot of times, pastors and people will try to tell you the textbook version, but it's hard, I think, sometimes to open up to tell you that your lived experience is kind of maybe sometimes contradictory version. Uh, Even if I think if things do go awry, that it's not necessarily a reflection of you, or it shouldn't assault your psyche that certain things don't work out. It should really let you know, or give you create an opportunity for new growth. But I think talking about these topics have been stigmatized, and for a while, especially in hip hop culture, it's like if you lose your girl or if you lose the guy, then maybe you ain't doing something right at home. But I don't think that that's necessarily the case. I think people are growing and they're experiencing new things, and there's new,
Yeah.
and I think that change is good, and sometimes people growing in different directions and talking about it doesn't mean defeat. It means that y'all are open to new chapters and new horizons. So
Exploring different things and changing it. You don't want to get stuck in a rut in any aspect uh, of your relationship. So being open to someone else's suggestions doesn't mean that you have to agree with it if you're not okay with it. But just having making room to have the conversation and not having that emotional energy of a wall up that the person can feel. You can feel that when you're trying so hard to cry and get someone to share a little bit and they're just like a brick wall emotionally and it's just not happening. And then once they feel a little uncomfortable with the thought of the feeling of being vulnerable, they just bounce. They like figure out a reason to leave or maybe try to turn the conversation another way and make an argument. And you're like, how did we end up arguing when this was supposed to be like us communicating? So those are just some unhealthy things that people do that are not used to sharing and communicating.
no, absolutely. I think it's important too, when especially during communication, is setting boundaries. Like if things get too heated, or if you're getting to places where it's a possible trigger, that it's important. Like you said, Aisha, that you are a communicator. So sometimes, and I am too, you might want to stick it in there and really hash some things out because you're thinking that you're trying to work towards the truth, or the other person might be feeling triggered and wants to leave. But if that person wants to leave, something as simple as saying, hey, I'm feeling a certain way. Can you give me 30 minutes? Or I'm going to take an hour walk, but I will be back in an hour. Gives that other person an opportunity to say, you know what, I know he needs some time. I want to give him his hour, but it also gives you the understanding that or the respect that your concerns will be addressed in an hour. So it's kind of like this give and take balance. That's like it's a mutual respect, and I think tools like that need to be more available. That's why I think these types of shows and this kind of conversation is so important, because just so many folks have good intentions but just don't know how to use the tools.
Right. Yeah, I've
Right.
been definitely pushing for that. Because for me, I guess a trigger would be, let's say he does choose to leave. I feel like I have abandonment issues, right? So him leaving at that second, it's like, oh shit, like I feel abandoned. So if he gets that space and saying, you know what, I need an hour, or hey, I just need to calm down. And what he has got better at doing that. Again, that gives me an understanding like, hey, okay, right now it's not the time for us to speak, but he will be back later and we can communicate about this. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Absolutely.
Y'all are doing good.
We're trying.
I'm gonna need an update next week about this relationship. Y'all are doing some good things over there. Oh gosh, you not just talking the talk, y'all are walking the walk. You keep trying new things and it's working. Let's see. So we want to talk about the lonely people, depressed people, possibly having suicidal ideation. What are some things that these people can do right now, or the angry people right now that are mad, at various different things, and just feeling not in control of anything, starting with the pandemic, not being in control of whether or not they're going to catch the virus. Just so a lot of anxiety, depression, and severe depression. Like, what are some advice for people struggling with some mental illnesses?
Well, I have, just some thoughts on, kind of keeping your mind in order, during this time. And kind of just going back again, like you guys were talking about, having those conversations, and kind of like it's a battle with your mind about to be positive, because you
Mm-hmm.
always want to think negative. You always want to go to where everything is down and everything's bad, and I can't go here and I can't go there. So a lot of our thoughts, the majority of our thoughts during the daytime, could be negative. So I think a big part of what they were talking about, the conversations, and another part about them, is just creating your positive thoughts and creating a positive mindset every single day. And you have to be purposeful with what you do. You mentioned meditation earlier. There's a practice I heard before, that if you can get rid of any negative thought that you have in your mind, recover from it, and have a positive thought, if you do this meditation where you speak the mantra for 15 seconds, silence yourself for 15 seconds, and then blank, go do whatever it is or whatever time is, and you do it again, and silence yourself for 51 seconds. Because in that space and time, you've been able to create a point where that negative thought will not exist, and somewhere you've
Mm-hmm.
gone moved on something positive. But just putting your mind to where you're able to focus on something, and focus
Yeah,
on the silence, and focus on the
yeah.
goodness of your life, is important.
Mm-hmm.
Because without that, you're gonna keep seeing and hearing all the negative things.
Right.
Your wife forgot to take out the trash today, or why does everybody have a loved one, and why am I the only one without a quarantine boo at the crib? Why is it that I can't
Yeah.
go
So
to
in
vacations with my
in
friends?
therapy,
And
we would
so,
call what you're talking about is like cognitive behavioral therapy, and one of the
mm,
techniques is called thought stopping. So it's like you're
mm,
intentionally stopping this negative feedback loop that's going, or the racing thoughts that are going, by intentionally, saying something else, a positive affirmation, or just shifting gears to something that's positive and
right,
saying, no, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do this. And we know whenever we're about to start going negative, because we feel it.
Mm-hmm.
You start thinking it. You feel just like this a current. And it's like, hey, are you tripping, or is this really a feeling that you should be having right now? We don't want to dismiss our feelings if it's trying to tell you something, but a lot of times it's just our mind playing with us. So be like, man, chill out, and get back to thinking positive. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, that was rude or something. So was it rude, or are you just interpreting it rude? Do you know what's going on in that person's life right now, Tina? Chill out, take a chill pill, give it about 10 seconds and see what the person says next. Oh, that was positive. Yeah. So you interpreted that wrong. You let that thought pass, and now you're good, instead of like putting up your emotional wall.
Right.
I think too,
right.
it says that a
Look
person,
forward to those conversations.
they say what a person has about
I'm
5,000,
sorry.
80,000 thoughts a day, and 5,000 thoughts are probably negative. And so making
Wow.
sure that are combating those 5,000 negative thoughts with 5,001 positive thoughts. But also, I think meditation is great for that, because studies have shown that at least 2 minutes of of a distraction is enough to break a person from a rumination. And a lot
Yeah,
of times, negative
that's
loops, you
true.
get ruminating over something that someone has either said or done, or a mythology about yourself. But I would challenge people to question what's been told to themselves. And when you do get those negative thoughts, meditation teaches you tips to gently, gently bring your thoughts back into perspective, and kind of focus on the present, as opposed to something that possibly did happen or could happen. It said humans are the only ones that can throw themselves in a fight or flight. You can be sitting at home perfectly happy, and all of a sudden, you're in a different mood and space. So it's just important to kind of keep a baseline perspective and a baseline of your gratitude. And when things start drifting a certain way, having the courage and the kindness to yourself to gently bring those thoughts back, and really get a better perspective and narrative about who you are and whose you are.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. Find
I think that
find something that you can have that's emotionally attached to that you can make it be your happiness.
mm,
So like if it's a bag of gummy bears that makes you happy, go get a bag of gummy bears because that's one thing that you always say is always going to make you happy no matter what. And say this is my happiness tool.
mm.
Like some people have, well, I like to wash the dishes. That's my happiness tool. Or I could use like the laundry. Some kind of tool that says this is what makes me happy to play,
don't do food
play my
though.
music, my
I wouldn't
instrument. So
recommend food.
always focus on
I mean,
it.
for Stephen and
Maybe
I,
not
we
the gummy
both
bears,
have a
not too
weight
many of them,
journey
but
thing. We both have like a weight story, and we probably have used food to comfort
yeah,
us before, and that caused us to be super overweight. So,
yeah,
you got to be careful with that. Like, I wouldn't recommend anybody use any kind of candy or anything to do it. But,
oh yeah,
sometimes it's needed.
healthy
Sometimes,
food.
with an exception, you have your little sweet treat, but, don't make it a habit all the time. Um, there's, as far as for like people that are feeling suicidal, I just think that it's really important to have like a safety plan in place, and also to make sure that you have a lifeline, even if that's a 1-800 number. Have a safety plan in place and know what you're going to do whenever you're feeling that way. Once those thoughts start, don't wait until you're like planning this thing out or anything. So once you know that you're having those type of thoughts, you should immediately start working your plan and immediately get someone involved that's a professional and a family member to help you.
Yeah,
You're
no,
not alone, that's for sure.
yeah. No, I think too, having that plan is important. And even I think a part of that plan should be even communicating with someone close that this is kind of something that you're struggling with, and if you don't hear from me, or if you don't, how do you enact that plan? I mean, most folks who I mean, and kind of my limited understanding is that most folks who want to take their life kind of are pretty successful, and then others kind of there's a cry for help kind of theme there as well. But I think, man, just at the end of the day, like you said, we all are struggling with something, but having the courage to be honest about where you are and it not being stigmatized, or and feeling like you got good people around you who won't leverage that moment later. And even and two, also knowing that just what you're going through in this moment doesn't disqualify you from the blessings of your future, or what is to come. And so I think for a lot of folks who struggle with suicidal thoughts or depression right now, it's just good to like you said, have a plan in place, but also um, be honest and talk to people about where you are. I mean, I struggle, like you said, with health, with weight, with not feeling like intellectually I was um, going to certain public schools, and I just didn't feel like I was living up to what I who I could have been. But it wasn't until like I was honest with the professor, I was honest with the people around me where I was, that people were just more than willing to help, and I saw great results. And so I just would encourage people to just it's people are waiting to help if you just can open up a little.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree.
Don't
So
be
I think,
ashamed.
yeah, and keep working on yourself, and really try to see if you can get some type of counseling or therapy going, if that's possible. If not, a mentor, somebody that you trust that cares about you enough to check in with you, or to hold you accountable to check in with them and do some like mental health check-ins with each other. I think that's something, while we're all in a pandemic right now, that we can all do. You can do that with your friends. You can do that with a colleague at work, your teammates or whatever. You can just be like, hey, I just want to check on you. You can send them a text, just doing a mental health check-in. How are you doing? Is there anything that you might need? It doesn't have to be financially, but just to show that person that you care. Because a lot of times people feel suicidal and get super, super depressed because they just feel like nobody cares. So just that one simple act, means a lot and goes a long way for some people. Just in letting people know that you love them. That's something that I've been more intentional about telling people this year. And I, preface it with, I don't want to make you uncomfortable, but I'm going to tell you that I love you. And, I want you to hear that, there's a lot of people like dying and things like that. And I just feel like we really need to stop trying to like put that block up, and also not make I love you be such a romantic thing, because you can have, phileo love, you can have friendly love. It doesn't have to mean that somebody wants you, it's just you telling that person like, I love you, Aisha. Say it back. Don't leave me hanging.
I'm on mute. I was like, I love you too. No, I was trying to say I love you too. I was like,
girl, back.
No, I think it's important. I think it's important to let people know you love them. It's very, very important. To be honest, I didn't realize how awkward it was for me to say I love you outside of like my romantic partner and maybe those like my family close to me. But I have a lot of girlfriends who will be on the phone and they'll be like, I love you. And I'm like, it took me a while to realize that it was hard for me to say that back, and I wondered why. So now I'm very open with like, hey, I love you, or just send a random message like, hey girl, I love you, I hope you have a good day.
Oh my gosh, I love that transparency. Yeah, it's kind of awkward at first, right? It's like,
yeah,
I love that. I love that you mentioned that, Aisha. I mean, I kind of at first struggled, but as a Black man who now, I talk to my friends, and we talk at least maybe once or twice, every other day. But once a week, like there's about 6 Black men that I say like, hey, I love you, bro. And they be like, I love you too, bro. And it's just, that kind of, I remember in high school that would not have been that, but it feels good to hear. I mean, and I have a dad who still tells me that. I mean, but I make it a point to tell my boys that every day. And I think it's so good. And Dr. Jones, you can agree with that. And I'm going to tell you, since the women have already said it, I love you, Dr. Jones. That I mean, it just feels good.
Love you too, Stephen, man. It's good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too, man. Good
love you too, bro.
Tell you that.
Love you all. I love you, Tina. I love you, Aisha. Love. I feel the love in the room.
It's so good though.
The
like
love
just
is in the room. So love. Yes.
All of that positive energy out to somebody, and they feel it.
Absolutely.
Positive energy. I haven't done that with them. Just kind of preface it with, I'm not trying to be weird, but I do want to start incorporating this into our conversations. I know I said that to you, Stephen, like maybe our second conversation. I was like, hey, I'm not trying to come on to you, man. I just want to let you know that this is something that I say now. And I think it's important for us to let each other know that we appreciate each other's time, and things like that. And, it's nothing sexual or, whatever, weird or awkward, right?
Yeah.
Well, good. It's a good day.
It's a good day. So any last words, guys? Like 2 minutes. We're about to wrap up. Anything that you want people to know, but keep it short because we literally only have like 2 minutes left. But just anything. I know. What are some things that you're doing at the Austin Justice Coalition?
So session just started. If you guys want to check out our Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, our Facebook and Instagram is Austin Justice Coalition, and our Twitter is ATX Justice. If you guys don't know what Austin Justice Coalition is, we are a Black-led nonprofit who focuses on racial and social justice issues in Austin, but also in the large part of just hopefully that it will lead to the liberation of all our people across this nation.
Love it. I love it. And what do you do there? Tell us again.
Oh, yeah. So I'm our director of communications. If you need to find me, you can find me on my personal Instagram, which is at Afro Mexico, or you can also go to our website, which is austinjustice.org, and you can find my email there.
She's awesome. She rocks.
Thank you.
Good energy. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Peace, love, and light. If you have any questions, if you would like to be on the show, also let us know, and we'll make that happen. Take care of yourself. Take care of your mental health. Start telling people that you love them, and we do love you. Let's all say, we love you.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Okay. Bye, guys. Peace, love, and light. We'll see you next Sunday.